Great. Well, another brilliant challenge, really, for Tuesday night. Southampton, what do you make of them as a side?
Yeah, very good, obviously. They had a great result of the weekend. I mean, these games, similar to ones we've had last year, very hard to plan for because you don't know how they'll go about the game. They've played a number of systems so far this year in games and changed in game between games, but you don't know whether they're going to use this as a game to give minutes into other players or put those players that had a good result of the weekend out again. I mean, they've only played 3 Saturday games so far, but they've got Man United at the weekend, Chelsea Tuesday, so therefore we'd expect that they'll probably make some changes, but we will as well. We know at the stage of the season that we're in that sense. So we know when you play against top teams, you're going to come up against some brilliant players, whichever team they pick, and I think it'll be a good atmosphere tomorrow night as well and a good crowd. So looking forward to the game and looking forward to seeing if we can compete against a team that no doubt will have some really talented players.
Yeah, whatever side they put out, a team like Southampton, the depth of a Premier League squad, they'll have quality all the way through, and they'll test you in the sorts of ways I guess you saw at the weekend, where they'll move the ball really well, they'll put you under pressure in different areas, and it's how you deal with all of that, and then finding the time to play your game as well.
Yeah, I think what we'll definitely see from them is a real threat behind us, a real threat in wide areas to get crosses in the box, and a really high pressing team. So that will give us some challenges to come up against, to find where the space is for us to play and how we're going to create chances against them ourselves. A little bit of that will be dependent on the shape that they play, and we won't probably know that until we get the team sheet. So there's bits like that we've got to overcome in the game, but you know that there'll be individually 1v1s all over the pitch that we'll have to do well in. But I think we can carry a threat against anybody, and I do think when we get our best football on the pitch and we play in our best and most confident way, we can be a team that creates chances. And then the test is to be clinical in those moments, because when you play the better sides, the chances can be fewer than perhaps you'd like them to be. So we've got to make sure we are as fluent as we can be and as fluid as we can be with the ball, and as awkward as we can be without the ball to make it difficult for them.
I know it's not directly related, but you were talking the other day about the significance of this week, the sides that you're playing, and you look at the number of Premier League sides that Cambridge United have faced over the past 2 decades. It's only 4 in total, but 2 of them have been this year, so it's a nice marker for the progress you've made.
Yeah, I think so, and a lucky draw in the cup. Let's be honest. You hope you get those games, but it's only by the draw of a ball that they happen. So the real marker of how far we come when we play them regularly will be if we ever get to the Premier League, but we're some way off of that at the moment. So we certainly take playing against these big sides in cup competitions. We try and flood our pre-season with really competitive games, because we know that's what the season will look like for us. And we absolutely know when you play these teams, the expectation is on the other side. That's okay, but we have to try and be as competitive as we can be, and take everything we want from the game, which is time on the pitch for other players at the moment, which is continuity in the way that we're building and playing in a really busy month. It's a 9-game month if you include the 30th of July, which is an incredible start to the season off the back of a really tough pre-season. But we're in fairly good shape at the moment. We've got to check in on a few this morning and see who is able and isn't able to go and do it again tomorrow, and hope that we can go and give a good account of ourselves.
It does make a difference though with this season, with your larger squad or more players pushing to be involved on a game by game basis, having the extra matches. I think you mentioned it the other day. Even though you look at August and it's really busy, it's also useful as well. I guess that it's toughest for the coaching team because of all of the preparation work that goes into it.
Yeah, really tricky for from an analysis side of things. I mean, Ben Smalls has to watch a lot of football, myself, Gary, Barry, Martin. We spend a lot of time watching opposition and trying to prepare and plan for those games and try and pick a team that works. And our players get frustrated if they're not in a team, but often players look at one game at a time and only the next game, and we're thinking 3 or 4 games ahead. So we know it's a 50+ game season, and we're going to chop and change things throughout the year, but we've got a lot of players ready, a lot of players willing and desperate to play, and a lot of players that are capable of doing it. So when they get their chances, they have to contribute to a team that can win and be competitive, and that's the challenge for them all season, and the challenge for us is to keep doing the good work that we do, trying to prepare the players as best we can.
Just to pick up on a couple of individuals, I know you'll look at them all today, but with George Williams, is it a case of still managing him? I don't suppose his problems all went away at the weekend. It's just using him as best you can.
Yeah, he got through the weekend really well, so we'll see how he is this morning. We've got to touch base with Lloyd and see how he is. He's played a lot of football recently. Greg obviously has gone from nothing to quite a bit quite quickly. He's already done 2 90 minutes this month, so we need to see how he is. Harrison Dunk took absolute whack about 4 times to his knee and his ankle at the weekend, so got to see how he is. So we've got quite a lot of defenders to look at this morning. We think everybody else should be okay, but yeah, we'll see how everybody is, and we'll try and get a team on the pitch that can give Southampton a decent game.
Yeah, with Greg then largely fine, was it just a case of having made the start midweek take him out of the firing line for the weekend?
Yeah, just a little sore. It takes a little bit of time to recover, and we don't need to rush that at all. And we went into the weekend with 1 or 2 issues in the back four that we thought, God, there's a good chance we might have to use defenders from the bench, and Greg probably wasn't quite ready to go and do that, especially if it needed to be big minutes on Saturday. So that was sensible really to do that, and he understood that and almost said it himself. So that was where we went for the bench at the weekend. And yeah, like you've said, I think we've got some good options. I think we've got a number of players who can do it and go well. You know, every team in our league has that, and the strength in depth that the other teams have is equally, you know, very, very strong, and they're putting some top players on the pitch. So we know the level that we're at, but we've certainly got more competitiveness in our squad, which will help us.
Yeah, presumably you'd feel the likes of Jack Lancaster or Sekou Jana, they're doing exactly what you'd want them to do. When we've seen them, they've managed to make an impact, making those goal contributions when you're an attacking player, the sort of thing you want to see.
Yeah, Sekou's got bags of potential, and I think it'll take us time to get the best of him and him understand it, and understanding sometimes how that role looks as an impact player from the bench, or what that role is when you come off the bench onto the pitch, and then obviously try and be as threatening as he can be on the pitch when he starts. I thought our 2 wide players were excellent at the weekend, and they're a really good example to him as to what you need. But he's got bags of potential. We really like him. He's a great character around the place. Full of energy and optimism, and yeah, he fits in really well. Jack's been great, you know, 2 assists and he's on the pitch already this season in the games that he's played. Nibsy's doing very well as well, so there's a real competition there, but Jack's in the best place he's been since he's been our player. He's got himself into really good physical condition, and I think he's got a decent part to play. But we are more competitive than we've ever been in that unit of the pitch, the top end of the pitch. We've got loads of options, so it's a great opportunity for all of them to have a good competition, because between the 8 or 9 that we've got there, Fajiri's not far away from coming and contributing to that as well. I think that makes us really strong, and yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing a season of those 8 or 9 players really impacting games for us and giving me loads of selection headaches. I can't wait.
Cool, that's great for me.
Mark, how confident are you of producing a cup upset tomorrow night?
I don't know. You can't. I don't think you can predict those things. They'll either happen or they don't. I think what you know is it's a really, really tricky game. Anytime you play the top teams, you're going to have to hope that they're not quite at their best and you are at yours. That's just the reality. But we've done it before, but we know how hard that is, and as I say, we'll flip things around a little bit. But I thought the performance in the last game against Millwall was very good, and got a really strong result against a strong side. We're playing against a team from a higher level now, so we'll do our best to try and be competitive and give a good show of ourselves.
How much can you take from the Newcastle win last season, or are they completely different?
Yeah, I think they are different. Different competition, different sort of timing in terms of the game being a Saturday 3 o'clock and 5,000 fans, away fans in a 50,000. It's completely different in that sense, the atmosphere and everything. I think what we've just become accustomed to, really, just because of the league that we've found ourselves in, playing big games has just become a really regular thing for us, and playing in stadiums and against good opposition and good crowds where we are the underdog has just become a fairly standard practice for us quite often. So we have to try and shift that mentality that we see ourselves as the underdog less throughout the season. But you can't hide away from the fact when you play teams from bigger divisions, you just are. So we'll do the best we can, but I'm not sure how much previous games will really input into this one. It's a standalone game, a really tricky one, but one that we want to go and give a good showing of ourselves in, for sure.
When you talk about making changes, are you talking about to the scale of the Millwall game, for example?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, a little bit of that's going to depend on how people are this morning, but I think when you play 9 games in a month, you'd be foolish to demand the same of every single player every time. And we come off the back of 2 tough away games, really tough game at the weekend. We're constantly battling with training and playing in quite difficult conditions at the moment all the time. That's quite draining. And we've got players that we want to be ready. I mean, I've said to all of the staff in the midst of pre-season that I wanted to get to September, 10 games in all competitions, hopefully, and have everybody fit and available and having contributed, and hopefully have had some really encouraging results and performances along the way. So we're on track for that, but we know we've got a big 4 or 5 games ahead now before that period is over. And hopefully that will mean that everybody's played a part in doing so. So we certainly will make a good number of changes tomorrow, I'm sure.
At this stage, is anyone ruled out through injury at all?
No, they're not. Harrison Dunk's the one we need to really look at and just check how he is, because he took a right whack on Saturday, but hopefully he'll have settled down. I mean, he's miraculous, really, his turnaround sometimes. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to put players at risk into the game if we can help it. You know, we need to be really sensible and play the long game here, because we know how long the season is. And we talk about having a big squad and a decent squad and a competitive squad. Well, we've got to try and keep everybody fit as best we can, because then that will pay off for us.
There's been a report saying that you've rejected a bid for Harvey Knibbs from MK Dons. Any truth to it?
I mean, I say all the time, don't I? The interest in our players has never gone away for 2 years. I think we've got so many that people are interested in. Harvey's one of them, but we've got quite a lot of players that people want. We don't see anybody going anywhere. Nothing to our expectations or knowledge. We're not in a position that we're going to be trading players. We don't need to be doing that. We want to keep this squad together as best we can. I mean, if in the next 10 days something ridiculous comes up, that's a different kettle of fish, but we certainly don't envisage doing anything in terms of players in or out between now and the close of the window. Our job is to try and keep this strong squad together and see what we can achieve together this year.
Just finally, have you or any of the staff had a chance to go and see Southampton in person? Or
No. We did debate it, whether it was worth going to watch them against Leicester at the weekend, but being truthful, the chances are they're going to change a lot of players, and let's be honest, they got Jamie Vardy, haven't they, at Leicester, and we haven't. So in lots of ways, it's sometimes you can get some good ideas watching some of the football, but in terms of going and spending time live watching the games, we invested our time and resources in going to watch Burton and Lincoln instead.